Hello, I'm Susan, and I am a yoga therapist and astrologer, qualified. And this video is going to be an astrological consultation. Yeah, and this is a consultation for someone who wants to be known by the name Madam X. So this obviously is completely private, completely confidential. So although it's going to be shared, it is going to be, completely confidential. And just before we begin, I just want to explain a little bit. So if you've ever consulted an astrologer, or you've dabbled in astrology, or you know a bit about astrology, or even what you might imagine about it, then you would know that you take the date, time, place of birth, and most of us would use a computer to generate a chart which we would then interpret. This particular consultation that I'm going to do is a Horary Astrology consultation, Horary. And this type of astrology probably predates the other kinds of astrology. It's based on the time of a question being asked, or in this case, just the time that I picked up the message from Madam X. So although she didn't ask a specific question, and Horary is based on asking a question, what I would usually do is I would say that if Madam X did have a question to ask, if there are questions invariably on her mind, then the time that I picked up her message would be the time that I would pick up these questions for the Horary. So in that case, that would be the chart that I would use. So the time that I've got here is 15th September, which is just 2 days ago at 2:41 p.m. And that's the chart that I'm using to interpret and judge and gauge the situation that Madam X is in. Okay, I know it sounds completely off the scale for being far-fetched, but I tell you what, it is mind-blowingly accurate for honing into a specific situation. Yeah, it is. I don't think there's anything else that beats it. It shows all the players that are involved, different people in Madam X's life, whether they are known to her or not, and maybe people that have been in her life and people that are coming into her life. All situations are shown in that one chart. So I'll just crack on and share the screen. I'm going to show the chart to you. Just sometimes it's good, even if you don't understand it, it's good to have a visual, just something to sort of have a look at. Okay. Oh, no. Okay, I didn't do that properly. Sorry, I'm supposed to click share screen. Yeah, okay. Here is Madam X's. It's not her chart, but this is a chart you can see up here, 15 September, 2:41, British sometime, Edinburgh. Regium Montanus is the house system if you're into astrology, and that means anything. So what we would do is we would take this whole chart and it would show everything. It's not just Madam X, and you see her name there. But this part of the chart here is the ascendant. This would show the querent, which in this case is Madam X. And when I got the message, what Madam X said was, feeling very unstable today, and kind of made an allusion to just some general insecurities that she maybe tends to have. Wants to cry for no reason, and her tummy is in knots. Okay, and the first thing I'm thinking is, right, to say I'm feeling very unstable today, that to me is a little bit unusual. Would you not normally say something like, oh, I'm worried about my job today, business is so slow, I don't know how much longer this is going to carry on for, or, I'm in this relationship and I'm not sure about the person, and, they've been going away a lot lately, or, I've been getting a bit bored with that person and I'm just a bit unstable, emotionally wondering how long this is going to go on for. You would kind of qualify it with a situation rather than actually making a statement that I, myself, as a person, feel unstable. I find that maybe slightly out of the ordinary. Excuse me. So I want to explain something about this, particularly about this type of astrology. We gauge situations based on the strengths or weaknesses of the planets. Yeah? So if a planet's strong, it's dignified, it has dignity. If it's weak, it has debility. Okay, these strengths and weaknesses can be categorized in two ways. We can talk about essential dignity / debility, and we can talk about accidental strength and weakness. Okay, now to say I feel very unstable today is describing essential debility. To say I'm just a bit worried about my job at the moment is more accidental debility. So somebody could be very strong, very fit, very healthy in their body as an athlete, but they've broken their ankle, so they might have essential strength, but accidental weakness. So situational is accidental, and more essential, intrinsic, is the essential side of it, okay? So when we look at this chart and we want to see Madam X, we can look at this point here, which is the ascendant. This is the beginning of the chart. This the cusp of the first house. And this is Sagittarius. And it is ruled by the planet Jupiter, which is here. It's like this 24. Jupiter is in Capricorn, and Jupiter is in fall in Capricorn, so it's essentially debilitated. So that really does kind of describe the communication that Madam X has come to you with. However, I feel like there's different flavours of strength and weakness, and Jupiter in Capricorn is in fall because Jupiter in the opposite sign, which is Cancer, would be exalted. It would be an exaltation. When we have something exalted, well, you know, if you exalt somebody, the exaltation, you just put them up high, you put them up on this pedestal. They are way above where they should be, you know? And if we get something, you know, if we have exaltation shown up in the chart, it's like you've got all this stuff and you're like, wow, where did that come from? How did I get all this? This is, I'm punching way above my weight, you know. You know, we've just got more than maybe we kind of feel like we not deserved or should have, but, you know, there's always a balance, you know, there's always a kind of what we get put in and what we get out, and it's usually pretty much even Steven. Whereas with this one, it's like, well, I put that in and now I'm getting all this. So I feel then when we have this fall, it's kind of like we've expected all this, but actually we've not got all this. So I'm wondering here if this this feeling of being unstable from Madam X is more because she had this massive amount of stability before, or just feels like she should have more stability. Jupiter, this is Madam X, this planet here, and it's on the second house cusp, and the second house is to do with finances. It's movable possessions. So it's apart from your house and any land that you might own, it's pretty much everything else. Car, jewellery, cash in the bank, cash flow, all your kind of short-term finances are in this second house. So it may be that you're just feeling a bit like unstable at the moment, but actually expecting a bit more than maybe we should be expecting, okay? And the reason I'm saying that is if we want to see what shape your finances are in, we would look at the actual second house itself. And the cusp of the second house is ruled by Capricorn, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn, this planet here, is in its own home, it's in its own sign. So it's, you know, your money is perfectly at home. You know, it's where it belongs. And it's in Capricorn, which is Saturn, is therefore essentially strong. Saturn lives in Capricorn. So there's nothing wrong with your finances. They're exactly as they should be. They're exactly where they belong. Okay, Saturn is retrograde. It's apparently going backwards just now. So this red R that you can see is retrograde. Well, everybody's finances are going backwards. We're in a pandemic. Possibly, fingers crossed, maybe not, possibly going into a bit of a second wave if we're not careful. So really, you know, we're all reviewing and revising our finances, the existing structures that we had that don't seem to fit anymore. How much do we actually need? Not as much as we thought we did. We're all kind of backtracking and reviewing the situation financially. So I feel that we maybe just our expectations are a bit too high. Okay. So, the other thing that we want to really look at is something that I look at that can show really undercurrents and things that are, you know, really going to get to the nitty-gritty of the situation. When we look at something called the antitia, so all these positions all have antitial points. I'm not going to go into the technicalities of how you work that out or what it means astronomically, but all these positions have what we call shadow placements, and that's what the antitia are, a bit like in shadows. They work very covert. They could be the unspoken, unwritten, really nuanced things that are happening in situations. It could, you know, if there's people there, it could be people that are unknown or people that you're not aware that that's how they're feeling or that's how they're thinking. So it's the unspoken, unwritten, unknown, and it could even be that it's something that your Madam X isn't really fully aware of herself. It might be stuff that's in her subconscious or her unconscious. And the only sort of significance with any of these antitia involves Jupiter itself, which is Madam X. Okay, so by antitia, Jupiter is right on this first house cusp. So a planet being on the cusp, you know, so if Jupiter was on the cusp of the first house, it would be like completely in control. You are completely in control of yourself. So probably the opposite of this feeling unstable, you know. I sometimes think of the first house, the kind of strength that we have from being on the cusp of the first house, as if this means anything to you, if you're into like tarot, the aces of the suits is kind of depicted by, you know, somebody holding a sword. So it's almost like, or holding whatever suit it is. So it's almost like, you know, you've got this, but you just maybe don't feel it and you just don't know it and you're not fully aware of it. But, you know, underlying, you're fine, okay? I'm just looking at what other, because Jupiter rules the first house, so it depicts Madam X, but it can also rule other things as well. For example, it rules in the traditional rulerships. It's ruling Pisces as well. It's traditional ruler of Pisces. So third house is siblings, okay? So possibly just, you know, there's something there where a sibling you feel is kind of maybe just in a very subtle way just hanging over your shoulder, or you're a bit worried about what your sibling might think about your finances. We also have a way of what's called turning the houses in, I think in all astrology, but maybe more so in Horary Astrology, we would turn houses, and we would look at different, what these relationships would mean to other people that are relevant. So for example, your significant other, yeah, this Jupiter to that person would actually be you, so it would be how that person views you and your relationship, but also it's the 9th house. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, yeah, the 9th house. So it would be something to do with the travel of a significant other, or legal issues with the significant other, or the significant other's religious or spiritual values or the meaning of their life. Okay, so that might be niggling you a wee bit as well. Okay, so out of that, obviously I know who you are and I know a bit about you, so but I won't say which of these I think is maybe more relevant than others. Okay, and also just looking at other relations that you might have, obviously in terms of children, any offspring that you might have. This I've actually made notes about all this, but this would be shown by the 5th house. So to that person or these people, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Their travel and their kind of 11th house would be their wishes and hopes and dreams. So again, just obviously not being able to travel to see offspring, for example, would be an issue. So these are maybe the things that you're kind of that are niggling you. But I guess at the end of the day, this is the situation we're all in. So it's more about your kind of perception. Financially, it's essentially good and it's strong, and you are feeling unstable, but I think you've got it. Everything's fine. I think it's more just maybe how you're feeling at the moment. Yep. Let me just see. You have got. I'm just going to just double check so I need some notes. So you have got. The other thing we look at is what planets are aspecting you here. Yeah. And we've got Venus is making a trine to the ascendant. Now, generally speaking, a trine aspect would be seen as good. Venus is one of the beneficial, it's the minor benefic, so Jupiter and Venus are seen as very beneficial. Venus in this chart is actually, we tend to, with Horary, maybe go more on the strength of the planet rather than just that the planet is a good planet, full stop. So Venus can be can give us difficulties, and this Venus is what's known as peregrine. It has no essential dignity at all. So it's a bit of a vagabond, yeah, and it's in the 8th house, so it's debilitated. So this thing that could be helping you, this Venus that could be, it's not really able to help you. It's not in a position to help you. And it's also intercepted, okay? So Venus in Leo, yeah, I mean, if you know anything about astrology, you know that Venus in Leo is just like way super creative, up there, life and soul of the party, just wants to entertain, just wants to make everybody happy, just wants to please everybody, and it's just all party time, and it's just all wonderful showmanship, and it's just all wonderful creativity, and Venus is, Aphrodite, and it's just great. However, this Venus at this time, she's in a cupboard. She's not partying right now. No way. She's not having a party because she's peregrine and she's in the 8th house. So there's just maybe you're feeling like the help that you usually have that puts you into that mode of feeling like, you know, yeah, you're in, you know, you can entertain me, whoever it is, or whatever situation it is that you're in that you feel that you get your entertainment from. It's not, it's shut down, or everything's shut down, you know, everything's shut down. So let me just see, actually, I could come back with more on that. What I should have done is maybe just check. What we can do is we can sort of check the sort of more immediate term fluctuations of that planet, because it could be that it comes out of the Emperigram. So I need to find my tables of houses, not tables of houses, my tables of dignities. That's what I'd have to do. So I can do that later, sorry. So Venus rules the 5th, 6th and 10th house. And that, I mean, the 10th house is to do with work. So I don't know how work is, if it's, you know, obviously you might be working from home, so you're not getting the same crack that you would have, you're not getting the same chat that you would have if you were out and going for your Friday drinks after work and all that kind of everything that goes with working in an office. That's not happening. So 5th house is also offspring, so any fun and games that you might have with your children would not be happening. So, and then the other thing is Venus itself is in a square aspect, which is a very challenging aspect, to the 5th house, Uranus on the 5th house plus. So, that, I mean, that could show, I mean, the only person that is ruled by the 5th house on the face of it is offspring. So whether you have, I'm not going to say whether you have children or what I know about your children, but if you do have children, then, you know, there's maybe been a very difficult situation for that person. And Uranus tends to create really quick, big disruption. It's like revolutionary. When the boundaries are in a place, when the structures are in a place and it's not right, Uranus comes along and just turns it in a very radical way, just turns everything upside down. It's very revolutionary. But it's freeing, you know, it makes the change that needs to be made. When the boundaries are too strict or too tight, it comes along. And I feel that this kind of change is something that's been happening to this person. And it's, the other thing with Uranus, it's like it quickly causes divorce type situations. Because it's a square, it's not as bad as an opposition. Oppositions are where things are in perfect opposition to each other and they're perfectly irreconcilable. With a square, it's like a mammoth challenge, but it doesn't mean that it's definitely the end. So this person is going through a very, very shaky situation. Yeah. And although you've got this trine, that would be oh, right, I don't know what happened. Something happened. But let me just share my screen again. I seem to be still recording this. It just kind of crashed. And I can't remember, where did I get to? Right, so this Venus that would normally kind of help you, be a good influence that would give you this fun and maybe make you feel full of confidence and full of, you know, take away some of your insecurities. It's just, you know, that person themselves is kind of having a bit of a breakdown in situation. Not a personal breakdown, but the situation is, you know, in breakdown mode. So that is quite difficult. Now, the other thing that I would normally look at is, let me just see, yeah. Another thing we kind of want to look at as well is the moon, and that kind of shows you emotionally, because you're talking about emotionally just wanting to cry for no reason whatever. And the moon shows you, it's a co-significator of you, Madam X, and maybe more from an emotional standpoint as well. So moon in Leo. Now Leo is a fixed sign, so emotionally the fluctuations maybe shouldn't be so bad, but at the same time we've got another planet that's peregrine, so it's maybe feeling a wee bit lost in a sense. And again, it's intersected in this 8th house. So, there's no outlet for your emotions here. Moon and Leo might be creative and all the rest of it. Moon it doesn't really like being in a fire sign. Venus is a really hot planet, and in terms of astronomically, it's a hot planet. It can cope with this heat. Moon is cold and wet, doesn't like this heat. So being in Leo, it's going to get scorched. And being trine the Mars here to the exact degree, by the way. So these partile, what are called partile aspects, where you've got the same degree number, yeah, they're really quite potent. And we've got two of them. We've got one with the moon and one with Venus. They're the two feminine planets, the two faces of women. We've got the female Venus, the temptress and the adulteress and the siren, if you like, and the Venus that takes pleasure for herself and is a bit selfish. And then we've got the moon that's there for everybody, that's like the mother that sacrifices her own kind of well-being to look after other people. These are the two kind of faces of women. Both of these are being aspected by different planets, and Mars and Uranus are like almost high. Like Uranus is also almost like a higher octave of Mars in a way, in terms of hatchet man, kind of explosive and I'm going to say violent. I don't mean that somebody's going to be violent towards you, but it's acts in a violent way quickly, and a slasher. Mars and Uranus both destructive. They will destroy things. So yeah, and Moon doesn't like being in Leo particularly. It's too hot. It's a hot, dry sign, and we've got a cold, wet planet. And then we've got this trying to, to another hot, dry planet in a hot, dry sign. So yeah, not good, I suppose. I mean, it's fixed, so it's not too bad for being unstable. But I feel that whilst and the trine is good. It's a good trine is a good aspect to have, and Mars in Aries is actually quite good because it's where it belongs. If there's a planet that is going to go on the rampage and go on attacking, yeah, like if you think of this as your artillery, your army, but your army are at home, well, they don't need to go on the attack. If they feel strong and safe, they are not going to be in this big defensive mode. They don't need to go out on the attack. So from that point of view, you technically would be in quite a good place for not necessarily expressing the emotional side quite as much, but you'll be in a position to maybe assert, you know, yourself in terms of what you need, but in a really kind of pragmatic, maybe more masculine kind of matter of fact, objective way. You'll be able to express that. You'll be able to be assertive. You wouldn't maybe need to be flying off the handle or having this heat, having any anger or irritation. You'll be quite matter of fact and straightforward. However, it's intercepted, it's in the 8th house. So you probably know exactly what you need to do or say, and you know how you would say it, but there's just something that's keeping you quiet. There's something that's going to, not allow you to come out. You're having to hide things. You're having to, repress something in your 8th house, I'm afraid. And the fact that the antitia of your shadow placement is there on that first house cusp. Again, I think there's stuff there that you're not saying that you can't say, that it would all be very straightforward and plain and you would know exactly what to say or do, but you just can't. I don't know if that makes sense. Usually when I'm saying these things, I don't know what I'm talking about and I don't know what it means necessarily. But if I say it, you might be able to pick up and understand what I mean. Okay, let me get another drink of water. Mars, actually, I just noticed we've got this little funny square disc thing, and that is your part of fortune, and that shows material wealth, material gains. It's nothing to do with, oh, my wealth is all spiritual, I don't know. This is material. This is always money, it's always financial. And this is in the 11th house, and it kind of shows to an extent that there's a bit of an idealism, a gain, so that's another indication that you're kind of wishing you had more, or you're kind of maybe expecting, or your expectations are maybe a bit high. Yeah, again, we are in lockdown. A lot of people are toiling. So this is in Scorpio, and Mars rules Scorpio. So this Mars, which is trining, making this aspect to your moon, this shows your money as well. So there's an element here of, something to do with finances. So it's just thinking. I don't know how to pause the video and collect my thoughts. So I'm just going to pause recording for a second. Hello. Right, I wanted to just collect my thoughts another because that was something that I hadn't really picked up on before when I was just doing a quick preliminary look at stuff. So Mars is your, excuse me, your fortune, if you like, So it could be, investments, could be, it's just your material wealth, treasure. And it's ruled by Mars, and Mars is in you. So again, it's showing your finance is strong and good. Yeah, it's in the 4th house as well. It is going backwards. Yeah, so that's 2 financial indicators that are retrograde that are going backwards. But everybody's going backwards at the moment. Everybody's having to review, and it might be that you are taking stock. You are taking stock of all the money, all your wealth. It sounds like, you're sitting there counting your money, but do you know what I mean? Everybody's got some kind of, they've got assets and they've got, wealth or whatever. And it is going backwards, and it only recently started going backwards. So maybe something has changed very recently. It's going to go all the way back, and it's actually going to cross over this fourth house cusp. Yeah. Fourth house is to do with your immovable assets. So that would be your property. That would be the house that you live in. And it also shows buried treasure. So I wonder if, you know, maybe something's going to uncover itself in terms of money, finances, something might change. That's going to be, we'd have to calibrate the times, we'd have to get in touch and have to do a bit more digging around. In terms of calibrating times, we look at numbers between the degrees, you know, and this goes, this planet went, I'm pointing as if you can see, this planet went backwards just 1 degree ago, so it was like 28 degrees. Let me see exactly, actually, let me see exactly. Let's look at these stars. 28 degrees and 8, so just really very recently. And time scale wise, and actual time, it was the 9th of September. So that could be another indication. In terms of looking for timings, there's different ways of doing it. But it goes back and back and back all the way through October, back and back and back, until it gets to 15 degrees in the middle of November 14th. And that's when it would start to come, it can't go forward again. But at that point, it's crossing over the fourth house, which, you know, in some ways, you know, if you want to hang on to something, you put it in your fourth house, you know it's not going to just fly away. You know, it's probably the most inert of all the houses in a way. So, you know, you bury something under the ground, it's in the fourth house, it's staying there, it's not going anywhere. So it might be that something concretizes in terms of some kind of investment or some kind of financial thing, some kind of financial situation, and that would happen when you get to 18 degrees. Oh, sorry, I'm the wrong planet here. That would be more like sort of the 21st of October sort of thing, would be when it would cross over that cusp. So I wonder if something might happen that may make you feel more stable. Yeah, because, yeah, fourth house is pretty stable. Yeah. If you think about the roots, fourth house is like the roots. It's like the roots of the tree, you know, it's like your shira, as I would say in yoga. But it's, yeah, it's the roots of the tree that make the tree stable, and that's the fourth house. So you couldn't get any more stable than that. I wonder if that's a thing. Maybe you'll start to feel a bit more stable then. And you did say feeling very unstable today, so you know, it would have just been, you know, a turning point. Maybe that Mars one retrograde maybe is what made you feel unstable, clear as it is aspect in your moon. But we'll chat about that in private, because we'll try and calibrate these timings. The best thing to do for calibrating timings is look at what's happened before, and then it might be that 1 degree equals 1 day or 1 week or 1 month. And if we can go back and calibrate something that happened before, we can figure out what the timings are, and then from that we can sort of extrapolate into the future. What else did I want to say? There's not a lot else in here that I wanted to pick up on, except the planet that's right on the midheaven, the MC, medium OLI, is Mercury, and that is, if you imagine this is a football game or any sport, yeah, this is the dude with the ball at the moment. So this is the guy that's, you know, it's all, everybody's all eyes on him. If he moves that way, everybody's moving that way. It's all, you know, he's their key player. And that Mercury rules the 7th house, which would be your partner, so husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other. But it doesn't have to be, you know, if you, and I'm saying this just in general, if you were single, you'd still have a 7th house, you still have significant people. It could be your clients, just people that are peers at work, that are on an equal footing. For you, it would be obviously your significant other. Turning the houses, it would be so just well, siblings came into this before. From the 3rd house, it would be the 5th house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it could be a niece or a nephew. Yeah. Also, because it's the 3rd house from the 5th house, it could be another, like the 5th house would be your firstborn, the 7th house could be your secondborn. If you were in a situation where you really needed to differentiate between your 2 offspring, and if you had a 3rd child, it would be this 3rd again, it would be up here again. So that could be your secondborn child. Yeah. It's also the 9th house, so again it's travel, your trips and travel that are making, that are kind of governing, or that's where it's all at as well. I mean, there's loads of different scenarios for turning the houses. This could be your significant other's 3rd house, which would be their siblings. You know, there's just so many things it could be, but that Mercury up there is accidentally quite strong. Let me just collect my thoughts again. Okay, I just had to collect my thoughts there because I hadn't actually prepared to talk much about Mercury. So looking at just turned houses, for you, Mercury rules the 9th house, which is to do with training and knowledge. Yeah, and that being on the 10th house could show some kind of fruition, you know, some kind of training or knowledge coming to fruition. Now, I know that you are, you know, I know that you have fantastic knowledge, possibly more than you acknowledge or whatever. But yeah, I wonder if that's going to really help, you know, that's going to really be coming to the forefront. I think that's something that might really show face, being up there on the 10th house, and you know, in the public arena, if you like. So I think maybe you've got a bit of a reputation for maybe how much you know about your job, so maybe that's going to help you in terms of going forward. And in terms of the Mercury ruling the 7th house, that would be, as I say, your significant other, that it would show that person at home and their property. So I don't know if that person is stuck at home. I did say something about that, but I can't remember. And also a second-born child, and something to do with a house situation, a home situation, in terms of their house, not that they're coming back home to you in any way, but something to do with their home situation. So I'm going to leave it at that, because if you want to come back to me on that Mercury, I think we might have a bit of a conversation that might lead to some more revelations. So stop sharing. Okay, so that is a little taster of a bit of a horary consultation. I quite often use these. If somebody says, oh, I want my chart done, and they give me their birth date, quite often I will check what time it is, then we get in touch, and I use the time that they contacted me and look at the chart of that time to kind of get a bit of a consultation chat, so that it really does add a bit of insight as to what's just happening at this moment. So I'm going to leave it there, and I want you to say thank you for watching, and if you've got any questions or comments, come back to me, and that goes to Madam X or anybody else that's watching this. If you've got a burning question or you want to have a consultation, I can do this same kind of thing live on YouTube or by recording. We can go public and nobody knows who you are. I was going to do this live on YouTube, and I've said this before, but because I've never been live before, you have to set it up and it takes 24 hours. So I wanted to get this done just to put Madam X out of her misery. Okay, thank you. Bye. Stay safe. Bye. See you soon.